Boing.
Wow, I hope you like your eggs extra dippy. Guys, in this video, we're gonna be talking about Bitcoin's pullback and how we have gotten so close, even in the last hour of me recording this video, to coming down and filling this gap. It would be a shame not to fill this gap at this point, you guys, within less than $200 within the last hour of reaching that. But also, what is most importantly is this chart, and this chart right here with this one specifically, right? There is so much going on in the broader financial landscape. And guys, for the most part, we don't pay too much attention to it, but Bitcoin does not exist in a vacuum. Guys, as you can see here, this crash on the charts was not just Bitcoin, and it wasn't just traditional financial markets either. It was basically everything. And there's correlation, and this is something we need to be watching right now, because if, for example, this chart specifically right here would fall through, as we're currently already falling through this key moving average, if it continues to fall, will it have an impact on Bitcoin's price? We're going to be talking about that in this webisode. We're going to be talking about 3 reasons why Bitcoin tanked under 11K for the first time in a month. Guys, there is a lot going on in these charts, and there are some very serious things you have to be paying attention to, because the ramifications of this could be a little bit bigger than we expect. And again, it goes outside of just the cryptocurrency market. You need to be paying attention to this. Wow, what's going on, women, men, children, and unborn children? Guys, we have a lot to get into in this webisode as Bitcoin continues to take a tumble. The price continues to fall, but there is much more going on than just maybe your favorite altcoin dipping, and maybe just more than Bitcoin dipping. Guys, we have a lot to delve into with that. What are the ramifications of this? We're at a critical moment, not with Bitcoin's price, but in these other markets that will 100%, in my opinion, impact and guide Bitcoin in the short term, okay? We're on the precipice of this. This is something myself and basically everyone has been talking about for the last 6 months, because it has been the overarching thing really happening in the entire world. Is basically inescapable, and now we may be seeing something very key, but we don't want to panic just yet, because nothing too bad is broken. But we're going to delve into these charts, because is this the very beginning of what many people have been expecting? Huge, guys. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on those post notifications so you get updated when we upload new videos. And as well, if you're new to the channel, make sure to drop that comment to enter for these ledgers. If we hit only 1,500 likes in this webisode, we'll be giving this one away in the next webisode. We've been hitting these basically every single time. And make sure to include in your comment what altcoins you are considering or already have bought in this dip, guys. Huge. So let's dump into this. So I want to start off with Bitcoin's price here. So far, we have 2 wicks on this daily chart coming right down to the very top of this previous ascending triangle here on the daily chart, which when we broke out of back at the end of July, brought us from about 9,900 all the way up to a peak of about 12.5, right? So a little under $3,000 in gains within a monthly period after this breakout, currently where we're finding support. Very interesting to note. So if we zoom out here, this is a very key level, but you notice as well, guys, we have not come down to that even more macro, more important level that I have been talking about, that I think is very key. A lot of people don't like it because it is under 9,000 US dollars, and a lot of people don't want to see that. But as we're seeing right now, it's becoming more and more likely and more possible that this is not just a crazy number that we're throwing out. Okay, huge. And for people new in these markets, coming back to retest one of these, especially a 3-year macro pattern like this, coming back to retest this for confirmation is 110% normal. So again, we have not come down to that yet. I still am leaning on the side that we're still going to get that, guys. I don't think this pullback is over quite yet. As I said yesterday, I didn't think we reached the bottom. And definitely, if we look on these charts, on the 4-hour chart here on Bitfinex, we still have this gap. Now, how disappointing would this be for basically everyone, bulls and bears, if we don't fill this gap, okay? We came within $200 of this just within the last hour as I'm recording this. So we just came down to it in this 4-hour candle, and we did not come to fill this just yet. So I would love to see this fill as one requirement before we head up. And guys, as well, something very key happening is that we're actually below the support of 10.5 that many people were calling for as a support. Now, I understand 100% why people were calling for this as support. It makes a lot of sense to me as well. You have a ton of touches of resistance here over the past year, right at 10.5 back in October of 2019, back in February of 2020, back in June of 2020. And then when we broke out of it, that's when we skyrocketed, right? So obviously that's a huge point. 10.5 is huge, but I don't think that's going to be the ultimate level of support for this. Currently, we're holding at about 10.3. But again, I still do think it's likely that we go lower. We even have this 200-day moving average down around 9,000, which would fill the gap, and it would get us closer to this 3-year symmetrical triangle. But again, guys, I still think that it's likely we could come back to test this. Another very key thing, though, in terms of a pullback target, the huge area we want to watch for is this, the 21-day moving average, which as of right now is right around 96.40, which would perfectly fill that gap, and it would give us a touch on this very key long-term moving average. It's absolutely huge. During the entire bull run of 2017, we came back to the 21-week moving average over and over and over again for support before continuing up. We see it here. We see it here. We saw it here. Here. So like dozens of times in the year 2017 on this weekly time frame. Very, very strong weekly moving average. But something much more important is happening in this climate right now. So before we delve into that as well, let's take a look at some altcoins really quick. Ethereum actually holding up extremely well, getting a bounce right on this box perfectly that we've had on it here for a while, right where this high was back in the summer of 2019. That's where we're finding support so far, but we're below our 21-day moving average, which is not a good short-term signal there. XTZ actually has been guiding this. I don't know if you guys have been watching this. If you've been watching this channel, you've been seeing it. But for XTZ, it has actually been showing what the higher caps have been doing beforehand. So XTZ broke the 50 and the 21-day before anything else, and now it's broken the 200-day as of the last 24 hours. So we've actually broken below the 200-day. Now, is that a sign for things to come in this broader market? Potentially, but again, Tezos has been a leading indicator for a lot of these high caps, and it's absolutely still on a downward trajectory there, breaking a 200-day moving average. Link actually still above its 50 is currently where it's finding support. Again, you guys see none of these other high caps have really come down to the 200-day quite like XTZ has. We see Chainlink. For it to go down to its 200-day would actually be right around $6 per Chainlink. Okay, so roughly, or about exactly a 50% slash in Chainlink's price if that were to come down to that very low level. But guys, this is what I want to talk about here. So this crash, you see it on the NASDAQ, SPX, Dow, guys. This happened everywhere. It happened on Bitcoin, it happened on gold. Everything crashed back in March. And we've never been out of the woods, right? We saw that crash, and then we saw that V-shaped recovery. But in my opinion, this is completely phony. And I think it's in most people's opinion. There's no reason we should be going up right now. Guys, so many metrics in terms of like GDP, job loss, all of that, unemployment, right? They're all so much worse than the Great Depression. And we have not seen the stock market react at all, basically. Does that make any sense? No, absolutely not. There's no reason that the stock market should have done this. Other than psychology, right? But again, that's going to be short-lived. I don't think that we're going to see that climb forever. Fundamentally, though, is there any reason that we should be setting new all-time highs with the NASDAQ? No. To put it frankly, no. There's absolutely no reason why we should be doing that. But specifically, what I want to look for here is the S&P, which currently it's actually fighting to hold support on its previous high of back in February 2020. Okay, we just actually broke that recent high just within the last 2 weeks. We broke above this again. Now we're coming back down and we're trying to hold that as support, and it doesn't look like we're doing it just yet, but we'll have to wait and see. It's still too early to tell. But one thing to notice as well, we are below our 21-day moving average, guys. This blue line, we're approaching the 50-day, and then the 200-day is all the way around 3,000. Currently, we're around 3,300 US dollars. So basically, the reason I'm bringing this up is that if these markets continue to slide, okay, if these major markets continue to slide in the short term, I think it's undisputable that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole will follow it. Now, mid to long term, I think we can change our opinion a little bit to say maybe it won't, and maybe some other reasons we can get into why it wouldn't. But in the short term, I think it would just be basically guaranteed that it would, okay? We've seen it happen repeatedly over the last 6 months where the correlation is very real. If one major market drops, a lot of these other ones do as well. And then obviously Bitcoin follows those other ones as well. Bitcoin doesn't exist in a vacuum. Bitcoin has some correlation at this time, right? So if this broader economy starts to falter and starts to decrease in price, it would be silly to think that Bitcoin is not going to in the short term. You know, maybe things would be different in the mid and long term as people realize what cryptocurrency is and how valuable it is and how it's meant to survive and actually thrive in environments exactly like this. I don't think it would happen right away. Okay, I don't think it'll just be immediate. Let's say S&P goes down to 2,800 and then Bitcoin goes to 15,000. It doesn't make any sense, right? Not in the short term. Maybe long term, that could be a trajectory we're heading, but not in the next 2 weeks probably, right? So with that being said, what happens to Bitcoin next? Whale data provider WhaleMap said many so-called holders panic sold Bitcoin as it dropped. Very silly move in my opinion there. The rapid pullback of Bitcoin might have caught investors off guard given the intensity of the drop. A lot of panic selling yesterday from holders who were quite successful in buying tops. Their strategy seems to be buy high, sell low. Guys, this happens all the time. When you see red, that is the last time that you want to be selling. And when you see massive green for weeks and weeks, you have to be aware that you're getting more and more risky the longer that green goes. You're more likely to buy the top the longer that goes on. And if you sell when it's red, you're most likely just going to have a horrible experience, right? You're just going to have a bad experience with Bitcoin. I used to do that. It just is not a smart thing to do. You cannot let emotions dictate your trading plan. And if you sell after massive dumps, that is exactly what's happening. You're letting your emotions guide your trading plan, which is the last thing you want to do. Okay, so Joseph Young on Cointelegraph, and then we have Bradley Kuhn here on CoinDesk. 3 reasons why it tanked below. So one is traditional markets, okay? So this is huge. Let's jump into this. The S&P retreated after climbing to a new record high earlier in the week, but new U.S. jobless claims almost totaling 1 million in the final week of August. It was better than feared, but still well above the 665,000 level that marked the high point of the last recession. So guys, what this is saying is the unemployment is still, even at these levels that we're getting weekly, still higher than the previous highs of 2008 and 2009. So again, that's not a good thing. Unemployment is absolutely horrible. I mean, if you look at some of these things like GDP, I mean, I don't know how people can look at these charts and think, yeah, you know, things will just go back to normal in a few months. Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Why would it do that? Then he cites 2 other reasons about Bitcoin because of DeFi unwinding and then miners selling Bitcoin. I think this DeFi thing, I don't think DeFi is done and gone, right? Obviously, it goes in cycles. We had massive, insanely pumpage-oriented months over the last few months with this DeFi market specifically, and it only makes sense that it loses steam and has to reverse and kind of reset a lot of the momentum, right? That's 100% normal, guys. No market goes up forever. Absolutely no market goes up forever. But basically, to sum it up, the move that I'm hoping and watching for is exactly this, filling this gap. Okay, guys, right around the $9,700 USD level. If we break below 9,500, we would be 100% guaranteed the gap would be filled. But again, I still am of the opinion that we could go a little bit lower in the short term, right? What I said a few weeks ago, which not a lot of people liked, but again, going down to like 8,500, 8,400, people would be panicking. I guarantee so many people would be throwing in the towel. So many people would be getting messages like, oh, this whole thing is going to zero, which doesn't make any sense. But again, I think that would be healthier for this market long term. And if we did come down to 86, if we did come down to sub 9, or even, you know, just to fill the gap, maybe we only go down to 9,600. If any of that happens, that will position us in a much better area to break all-time highs quicker. Okay, I think it's just necessary. I think we need to do that first. I think that makes more sense. I mean, simplistically, looking at this chart, what do you guys see? Okay, we see coiling, we see it break up. Does this look unnatural? Not really, guys. Price goes up, price goes down. It's what happens all the time. Okay, massive. And as well, guys, for everybody in T4, I'm going to be putting together a chart version of a lot of altcoins I'm looking at. Okay, so it's going to take me some time because I've got to put together a lot of charts, and then I'm going to send them out via Telegram there. But as well, guys, Bybit reached out to me. They're doing 20% off trading fees for the next foreseeable future. So again, if you want to actually try to anticipate these moves, if you have experience trading, make sure to sign up with the links below. But guys, I also want to point this out. Every time we see very substantial pull-off or sell-offs like this, right? If you look on this chart and you see massive candles, every time that's happened in the past, again, you don't want to catch a falling knife, but every time that's happened, as it bottomed, marked the absolute very best time to enter a long position. I personally would not be entering a long position right here. However, let's say, for example, we came down to 86. Let's say we came below 9K. Guys, I'm going to say this loud and clear. I think that would be one of the best opportunities to long Bitcoin that we'll have for the next few months, right? That is one of those setups that you only get every few months, where if we actually did come down, to that 8K range, even sub 9, that would be one of the best areas to long, in my opinion. Again, not financial advice, but that's most likely what I'm going to be doing if we come down to those levels. We're still pretty far off, guys. Keep that in mind. We're still like $2,000 above that. But I'm just saying, if we got a significant pullback continuing down to there, that 100% to me would be one of the juiciest long opportunities that I've seen on Bitcoin chart in a very long time. Huge, guys. So if you're new to the channel, again, make sure to leave your comment with which altcoins you're interested in scooping or have scooped with this dip. And as well, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on those post notifications so you get updated when we upload new videos.